Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Let'sRun.com's 2022 Pro Coaches Tour. In our first 2 episodes, we were joined by Dathan Ritzenhein of the On Athletics Club and Danny Mackey of the Brooks Beasts. And now we are pleased to welcome on Mark Coogan, head coach of Team New Balance Boston. Mark is in his 9th year with the team, is coming off a big 2021 campaign led by Elle Purrier St Pierre's U.S. title in the 1500 meters. In fact, between Purrier St Pierre and Heather MacLean, New Balance Boston accounted for 2/3 of the U.S. women's Olympic team in the 1500 meters last year in Tokyo. Prior to taking the New Balance gig, Mark coached Abbey D'Agostino, now Abby Cooper, to 7 NCAA titles at Dartmouth College, my alma mater. And during his competitive career, Mark was the first Massachusetts native to break 4 minutes in the mile and represented the United States at the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta, finishing 41st in the marathon. Mark, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I got to start with 2021 because, as I mentioned in the intro, you had 2 of the 3 Olympians, the 1500, with Elle and Heather, and a big dominant win from Elle. Where did that campaign sort of rank? Was that the best year of your team so far?
Oh, yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, I think we got a little bit lucky as a team because the Olympics being postponed, I feel like it helped us, because it allowed Ellie to mature, really let Heather get another year of running under her belt. Like if the trials were in 2020, I don't think Heather would have made the team. Who knows in the 1500, it might have been Shelby, Ellie, and Jenny. I mean, I don't know what the team would have been like in 2020, but I think having the year off allowed Ellie to get confidence, and that really allowed Heather to become like a really good, world class, 1500 meter runner. So yeah, I think we got a little bit lucky, but I'm happy with how it turned out. Like we knew well, I knew the 1500 team trials, how it was gonna I didn't know how it was gonna play out, but I knew a lot of the women. I mean, I coached Corey for a bunch of years and she was second, and I coached Helen for a couple of years and at Dartmouth, and she was fourth, I think, or fifth, so it was pretty interesting. So I don't know. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested because we see Elle, she breaks the American record in 2020 at Millrose in the 1500, and everyone's thinking, okay, she's one of the top milers in the country now, very strong chance to make the Olympic team. And then 2021, you're sort of wondering, okay, how is she going to stack up against Shelby? Because Shelby's been the gold standard in that event the last few years. And then we find out the week of the trials, Shelby's not going to be running in there. This is basically Ellie's race to lose, is how a lot of people viewed it. Like, when
Right.
you heard the news about Shelby, like, how did you react? Did you view this as a big opportunity? Did you think she was already going to be challenging Shelby for the win? Like, how did you react to that news?
Um, I mean, it was a shocker, just the news in general, because, not in a million years did I imagine anybody would be, flunk a drug test, and I hope that, I hope it is just an accident that, I hope she didn't do something on purpose. I hope it's just bad luck right now. But I thought Ellie could make the team even if Shelby was there. I thought it might be even a little bit easier because I thought Shelby would be someone that could get the race going too. So like once Shelby was got suspended, like in February, we started talking about what we thought Ellie was going to need to do to make the team. Like I thought Ellie was going to have to run hard, like take the lead, push the pace. Because she's not the fastest person in the world, but she's strong as an ox. So like we started doing workouts, in February, ending a lot of workouts with like a hard 800, because Ellie, you're gonna be leading the last 800 of this race, so let's learn how to run, 208 at the end of a workout, and we did a lot of stuff like that where we had to run hard at the end of workouts just to get callous and prepared for it. So I don't know. I mean, I knew she had a good shot at making the team, and then when Shelby was out, we thought she could win the trials for sure. You don't know what's gonna happen, but that's what we thought.
But the big surprise was Heather. I mean, she, in the semifinal, I mean, let's be honest, at least John and I both think she didn't run well enough to make the final. She sort of got in on the final on a prayer, right? I mean, What did you think happened there? They put her in after a foul, right? So you guys must have fouled a protest, but
Yeah, we
to
followed
us, we didn't
protest.
think it
She
was
got
much
she
of
got
anything.
bumped around. I mean, Heather was running really well. She got banged around a lot, and it wasn't her fault. So like when we filed the appeal, they went back and looked at the footage, and they could see her getting tripped up and stuff. So I mean, I felt. I mean, I would have been upset if she didn't get put in the final the way it happened. Um, I thought like last March, April, I wrote, I sent Randy a Wilbur. He's exercise physiologist for the USOC out in Colorado Springs, and he, like if I have questions about like blood chemistries, if their tests come back, or VO2 max, or any kind of science question, I often email him, and I told him how Heather was just coming on like gangbusters, and I said that I really think she has a shot at making this Olympic team, and then like at the end of the summer, he sent me an email back and he copied the quote and said how I predicted that Heather was, could make the team. And, but you could, like, if you watch Heather run like last winter, like 2 years ago, like she was hanging around in races, but not winning. And then last winter, she won like the Grand Prix. She broke 2 minutes in the 8. She won a few races indoors. So she was kind of learning how to win. And, at the trials, when she got into the finals, Heather knew what Ellie's game plan was. So we were like, you just kind of have to sit back and nail a couple of people that try to go with Ellie that are going to die. And that's probably your best shot. If a couple people, try to go with it and they're not good enough to hang with that pace, they're going to die and they're not going to run a good last lap. And if you can run really well over your last 400 meters, you could probably nail a couple, get on the team. And that's what happened. The race just played out perfectly for her, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, once she got the opportunity, she took full advantage, ran, the race of her life to that point. What I want to know is like, is the 1500, is that the most nerve-wracking event to watch as a coach? Because we see some crazy things like Heather barely makes the final and then she makes the team. Josh Kerr at the Olympics, he barely made it out of the first round and then he
Right.
medals. So like, is that the most stressful event to watch as a coach?
It's very stressful. I mean, I think it's a very unpredictable event too. It's that, unless you're like the best, like Ingebrigtsen or, Chariot or somebody, like unless you're the best, I think it's a very hard event. You just don't know how it's going to play out. Just, being relaxed in lane one and not doing any work, you might have a good race, but say you get pushed to the back of the pack and you're weaving in and out and you're spending too much energy just to get into a good spot before the bell. You could have a crappy race. So it's a hard race. It's a hard race. I mean, I knew like we knew like Ellie was going to make the finals, but like we weren't sure exactly about Heather. We believed in her, but we weren't like totally sure.
Yeah.
It's very unpredictable.
What's that dynamic like at training? Like, are they running every single workout together? Are they finishing together, or does Ellie kind of pull away? How does it work in workouts?
I mean, Ellie's more 15-5 and Ellie's more 8-15 type. So we do a lot of stuff together, but Ellie might do a little bit more volume, might do a little bit longer tempo runs, or Ellie might do like 5 times a mile and Heather might do 3 times a mile and then 2 800s or something like that. But when we do like, real like good quality, like last week in flag before Bill Rose, we just did 8 400s, off in 90 seconds. And Ellie and Heather just did them together. Wasn't a big deal. The whole team basically just did them together. So I think they're best friends. I mean, Heather was in Ellie's wedding. And so there's no rivalry between them. They both want each other to do well, and that's like why we didn't add like another 1500-meter person American to the team this year, because like I don't want to have 3 people vying for the same spots all the time. It seems too much, it seems a little bit too intense for me.
But do you think that sometimes, like, the second athlete, Heather, in this case, sort of can assign herself the runner-up status all the time? I mean, when they're working out together. I mean, I know I had that one time at Cornell. We had 2 milers. One was a year older. He was better, but then he took a year off. And then when he was gone for the year off, the other guy just said, "I'm the man now."
Yeah.
And got so much better psychologically. And maybe it would have happened just the year there, but he didn't have someone saying, "Oh, I'm better than you every day in practice."
Yeah. I mean, that is possible, but I don't think Heather sees it that way. I think Heather sees her as being maybe like a year behind Ellie, like training wise, and it's getting closer and closer. I mean, Heather didn't run that great at Millrose, but like when we were talking about a strategy for the race beforehand, I was like, Heather, you need to think about winning this race. It's not about you, coming in second, fifth, third, whatever. Like, let's see if, let's like she just didn't listen to the game plan for whatever reason, but she was supposed to get out in like fourth or fifth, get in lane one, get on the rail and try to go, we were hoping it would get single file and she could just get dragged around and maybe she could hang in there till lap to go and then try to kick. But she didn't get out well and just got pushed way too far back. So it was too much work for her to get up there. So like, I think Heather's thinking about enjoys having Ellie as a teammate, but I think Heather hasn't said Ellie's better than me. She might have said she's better than me last year, but I think now that she's like, no, I think she wants to be just as good as Ellie or better than Ellie, and Ellie wants to, keep improving too. So I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, we've had people on the team I think that left because it was going to be hard to be second fiddle, but I don't think Heather or any of the other women have that problem,
So the good news is you've got two Olympians, but your star ends up being hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she got hurt when and where? Like
She
you
got
knew
hurt
it at the.
She got hurt in the finals of the trials. She got knocked to the infield, like right at the beginning. Like she wasn't even supposed to take the lead until after one lap. She was going to try to lead the last 1200 or whatever it is, 1100. And, but she got knocked to the infield and she got really nervous. But when she got knocked to the infield, I think the shoes now are so like rigid. They don't move this way at all. They only go bend and go forward. So when she went into the infield, she strained her plantar fascia and it pulled on the bone and she got a bone bruise and we got an MRI taken of it and it showed that there was something going on that they said if she ran on it it would break. And so we worked with Dr. 1040 and Dr. Saxena, and we got a game plan. And she basically, from the trials, she ran in my pool. She ran in some lakes up in Vermont, with aqua jogger and stuff like that. And we got on some Ultra Gs, and she did quite a bit of running on the Ultra G down here in Boston. But she definitely lost that like little edge that she had going for her. It's kind of a bummer because I don't think she was going to win a gold medal, but I think she could have been third, fourth, fifth, sixth, the way she was running. So it was a little bit sad that happened, but she seems pretty healthy now. So good to go.
Heading into Tokyo, did you know, like, oh, I know she has no chance? Or since the fact that she hasn't been on the run, you just think, well, she's cross-trained really hard. We'll see what happens. I mean, making the Olympic final in 10th isn't anything to be ashamed of, but what were you thinking psychologically? Like, okay, what is she going to do here?
I thought that she didn't look as good as she did, like going into the trials, but everybody kept telling me, like people that were in the know kept saying, oh my God, she can take a month off and still run 350 something. So like I was getting it from every direction too, but so I think that she just lost a little bit of her fitness and that edge. And hopefully she doesn't get hurt this year and she can go into the world champs feeling, like a medal contender. I know she really would love to get a medal in Eugene.
Well, Mark, you mentioned you didn't add any women's 1500 runners from the United States this year, but you guys did add a couple women to the group, Canadian Olympian Julie-Anne Staehli, and then Sarah McDonald, who is British miler. She's run 4 flat for the 1500 meters. How did, they're both international athletes. How did that come about? How did they, what do you think about their prospects? What can they do this year?
So they're both New Balance athletes. And I think that Sarah's been battling injuries for the last couple of years. Ever since Doha, she's been battling injuries. And I think she just needed a change of scenery more than, anything. And she, like she's not taking spots from Ellie or Heather or Katrina or Millie or whoever, so like she's a great welcome addition. And I think she, like the British seem to like really know the sport well, very professional in everything they do about it. And I think she's actually going to help our team, like just learn a little bit more what it's like on the international like side of things. Like if we go over to Monaco, some Diamond League races and things like that, I think Sarah's going to be really help us a lot. And And she's, like you were saying, she's run 159 and 4 flat in the old spikes, not in these new spikes. And it'll be interesting to see what she does if, once she gets healthy. She's just coming back right now. So she's just running a little bit, doing drills and things like that. She's hoping to, maybe make the world champs or Commonwealth Games or Europeans this summer. And then Julian Staley, she was doing great up in Canada and, and being coached really well, but now like she wanted to be part of a group and it's, she's moving to Boston. She's got a place over by, the Brookline Res over by Boston College, Chestnut Hill Res over by the Chestnut Hill Res. And, she's settling in and she's going to run her first race, at the Grand Prix this weekend, this Sunday down in New Balance. But she ran 14, I'm not sure, 14:57 or 58 or something, and made the Olympic team for Canada. And she was been here all fall and she's very talented and she's tough as nails. So I think like she fits in and she's not scared of a little snow or a crappy day. And like that's like one of the hard things on New Balance Boston and like getting people to come here. The weather's not like, it's not like San Diego or, like sunny 300 days a year in Boulder or Flag or something. So like we have to get kids that, that the weather's not going to break them. We need hopefully some more New England college kids or, mid-Atlantic, Midwest kids start running really fast and can handle coming to Boston.
How does the recruitment process work? I mean, I was wondering about that, as a former college coach, like how much different is it than recruiting out of high school? Because I mean, I noticed you really haven't added any collegians in a while. Everybody in your team seems to be either 26 years of age or 28 years of age. So does, New Balance say this year we've got a bunch of money, who do you want? Or how does that work and how does it compare to college? Is it easier or harder?
There's money now. Like John knows at Dartmouth, we weren't giving people any money, but I don't know about Cornell slipping some. But no, I'm just kidding. But it's a little bit similar, I guess. So I'm the coach of the team. I'm definitely not like the general manager of the team. So like I don't control my budget. My budget gets assigned to me, through John Evans and so if I want somebody on the team, like I'll say, I think this person's really good, John. Can we take a look at her? And he'll be like, sure, fly her in, whatever you want, wine and dine her, show her around, I make sure everybody on the team really likes the person too. We have one rule. I won't put anybody on the team unless the team wants that person on it also. But, and so then it would just come down to like the agents negotiate. If the person would like to be on New Balance, then it would be like the agents negotiating with Pete Riley or John Evans or whoever they're negotiating with at New Balance to see if they can, get the right amount of money that they want. So, but I purposely stay out of all the negotiations because like when you start negotiating and getting on that side of things, it becomes more of a business. And I think there's more animosity between the athlete and like me if I was like telling them how much they're worth and how much they're getting paid. So I just stay far away from it. I don't even want to know how much they're getting paid.
But is it getting harder and harder to get athletes because there's so many teams out there? I mean, I imagine the price is going up. Maybe you should encourage Jenny Simpson to retire, and then maybe they shift some of that money over to you guys.
You never know. I know. I know. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, I think the prices have really gone up, and I think a lot of shoe companies are spending a lot of money on these teams, which I think is great. But I also feel like that breakthrough group's still getting left behind, like the 1345 college guy or the probably like the 410 415 college woman 1500 meter runner. They're not getting anything coming out right now where it's like 1320 guys are getting paid a ton, or 40 something women, or close to 15-minute women are getting big contracts coming out. But I feel like we're leaving, like I want to get more development like it used to be. Like when I came out, like none of us made a lot of money, but a lot of us could keep running. I wish that like, the people that are just barely All-American cross or something, like if they could just go for a couple more years, because you never know like how hard they're studying in school and they're a little sleep deprived. And like, I just feel like there's a lot more talent out there that we could find, and it'd be nice if we could support them, so.
Do you miss college coaching at all? I mean, would you like pro coaching better, or do you miss the team aspect of
I mean, I really miss cross country. Cross country is so fun. I mean, like the best. There's nothing better than like HEPS or regional cross or NCAA cross. I mean, they're like those are so much fun, and it's great when your seventh man is almost just as important as your first man. Your fifth person is definitely as important as your first person. So it's like I really miss that part, and like going to the meets in the fall and. Like, yeah, I definitely miss that. Like I went to ACC cross this year and it was so fun to be there and watch it. And so I miss that. I don't, but being a pro coach, it's in some sense, the parts of it are a little bit easier. Like we don't race every weekend, like when I was coaching at Dartmouth, we might be at 10 relays, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday with all the good guys. And then like the second tier guys are running at UMass on Sunday. So then you go and driving back home to Hanover from Philly on Saturday night. Then you're getting in a van and driving to UMass Sunday morning for another meet. So like, that's very, very hard. Like the college coaches work a ton, I feel like, like the nerves and wanting my team to do really well. That might be a little bit harder now with the pros because they invest so much into it. But I think like I have more free time now. Like I got to go see William play, almost all of his high school baseball games, and I got to see Margaret race and things like that.
Yeah, I forgot to leave off, on your resume at the start, I forgot to say that you coached Dartmouth to 2013 HEPS cross country title. That's something Robert coached a lot of HEPS track titles, but he never won the cross country title as a team. So that's something you've got over him in addition to coaching, U.S. champion.
U.S. champion is 7 NCAA titles. He's ahead of me too, and he was only coaching college for like 4 years or something. So
yeah, I got lucky at Dartmouth with like Jonathan knows all the women on the team, but like it was very unique, special group with like just with Lexi Pappas being there and Ariana Velas being there and Abby being there. And then like, it snowballed so quickly. Megan Krumpak, like Chrissy Sapino, like.
Yeah. You had Dana Giordano, Helen Schlachtenhaufen. Yeah. It was a lot of talent there at the time.
John, were you there? Did you guys overlap?
Yeah. Mark and I overlapped for my last 3 years, and then he was there one more year, and then he got the New Balance job.
So, Mark, what was Jonathan's reputation on campus? Was he like a star ladies man or man of the town? Or
I think he was kind of a star that way. Everybody liked him. John, to be honest, John's always had like a pretty good perspective on the sport and a realist. And I think that made him, a little bit better a runner at Dartmouth. I think a lot of times like people shoot for the stars when they probably shouldn't quite shoot that high yet, and they go up too fast and die or whatever, and I think John had a good perspective on the men's team and the women's team, when he was you were a pretty mature kid in college, from what I could tell. So I don't know.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, we had a bit of a connection because I went to high school in Massachusetts and you're one of the best, runners ever from Massachusetts. So I think we shared that as well. But I wanted to ask, I looked at your the roster right now for New Balance Boston, and I think it's 7 women and 1 man. Drew Piazza is the only man on the team right now.
Yeah.
Do you want to coach more men, or do you like the way it is right now? And how did it come to that you only have 1 man versus 7 women?
It just randomly happened this way. So like New Balance had a plan that they wanted the best 1,500 meter people like years ago, I think when they started with Jenny and stuff like that. But now it's just circumstances now. Like if someone fell on, if someone from Massachusetts won NCAA and cross or NCAA on the track or something, like we definitely go after them as hard as we could. And like John Evans and I, like a few years ago, we were talking like I really wanted to try to get Johnny Gohegan, Johnny Gregoric, Will Gohegan, and Eric
Jenkins, right?
Jenkins, and I wanted that to be our first 3. And like we talked to about it and like talked to the agents and stuff, but it didn't happen. I thought that would be a really cool 3, and they were all really good, but it just didn't happen. And then we had Kamoy Campbell, but then Reebok just gave him more money than New Balance was willing to give him. They really wanted to have a good training partner for Justin Knight, so they gave Kamoy a a pretty good contract. So, and it just made sense, you know, when we went from there.
What's the rivalry like between you and the other Boston-based track club, Reebok Boston? I mean, you've known Chris Fox for a long time. They're not even based in Boston, though. Do you make fun of them for that fact? I mean, to me, it's kind of embarrassing. I can't wait to have Chris on the show because I'm going to give him a hard time for that.
Well, I make fun of him, but he's one of my best friends. So he's a great coach, you know, and the things he did at Syracuse, and you know, he was in North Carolina coaching when I was at Maryland running. So I've known him for a long time, and he and I trained a little bit out in Boulder when he made the world champs team at 10K and I made the world champs team at 5K. We did a lot of training together that year. So yeah, I might goof on him, you know, but I think he's pretty happy. I know he likes Charlottesville. He grew up in West Virginia, not too far from there, and you know, he's got family in Hagerstown, Maryland, and so he likes that area down there. So yeah, and like the BAA, we don't really have rivals. We work together because we know sometimes we're outnumbered, you know. So like, I might talk to Mark Carroll and see what his people are doing, see if it matches up with what we're doing, and you know, we used to do that when Terrence was here too, when he was doing the BAA. So I think we all try to help each other more than like try to, you know, we're different than Nike, that's for sure.
You know, you talked about how you wanted to be, they wanted sort of to focus on milers, but you made an Olympic team in the marathon.
Yeah.
Any thought to ever add marathoners to the group?
Yeah. I mean, we'll take whatever we can find as we grow. We're going to start growing a little bit more, I think, in the next couple of years. We get the new track. We get the new track on March 1st, I think. So we'll have our new facility on March 1st. And then that's going to be a really great recruiting tool because we're going to have our own locker room in there, special lockers, chairs, you know, hot tubs, cold tubs, Alter G, you know, like my office is going to be in there, you know, dining areas. So like, it's really going to be, I think a good selling point, you know, like it's hard. Like we can't even find an indoor track really to get on right now with COVID, you know, like we used to rent Harvard, but we haven't been able to really get on any indoor tracks. You know, we got on one today. It's the first time we've been on an indoor track for a workout in 2 years was today. So it hasn't been easy.
Well, I'm curious because that track, you know, the track at New Balance that's opening, that was in development before COVID. I remember talking to you about it a few years ago. And back then I thought if there's one city in America that doesn't need another indoor track, it's Boston. You've got Harvard, you've got the Reggie Lewis Center, and you've got Boston University. So what was the thinking? Like, why is New Balance building that track? What's the thinking behind that? What do you guys hope to accomplish with it?
Yeah, we have all these great tracks here, but we don't have NCAA championships here. We don't have like the New Balance high school nationals here. We don't have world indoor champs here. So like those type of races are going to be coming. NCAAs is here in a couple of years. ACCs are here next winter, I think, you know? So we have fast tracks, but we don't have ones that can have big world-class meets, you know, and like the New Balance Grand Prix will be in there next year, which is going to be really, really cool. You know, it's the track. It's got to be the nicest track in the world, you know, most beautiful, most seats, like everything, the accommodations in there. Like, it's unbelievable. And they're trying to make it the fastest track in the world too. So it's like, I think it's one of the few hydraulic tracks and it might be the only hydraulic track in the world that's built on boards, just like BU. And so it will be, you know, it's gonna be fast, I think.
Well, if you can make it the fastest track in Boston, I think you can make it the fastest track in the world because that's your competition right there.
See, that's cool. I mean, I knew this facility was coming. I'm like, why? And now I'm like, no, this totally makes sense because nothing else was spectator friendly. The fastest track in the world. This can be sort of the Hayward Field of the indoor tracks. And I've always thought that indoor track, you know, was better for track and field than outdoor track. It's louder, smaller crowd, looks big. It's fun. You know, it's kind of a shame we can't run all the events indoor track. We could just do every event in there. But you brought it up earlier, the shoes, the super shoes. I call them the super spikes now. How much do you think they're worth? I mean, I was talking to a top college coach. He's on the north end. He's saying 1 second per 400 meters. How far would you go?
I don't know. I mean, they do make us coaches look really good though. So I just like, that's a tough one. I mean, I was looking at like just like sometimes like maybe like 10 years ago, if 8 people broke 2 minutes in the whole world, in the 800 for women, it was a big deal, and then like last year, like 70 people broke 2 minutes in the 800 for women. So so there's something there. If everybody has them on, then it doesn't really matter, like it's still top three. It's still about winning. And so I'm not like my team. We try not to get too caught up in times. We know they're there, but it's more important to be first, or get you run as hard as you can or have your best race. Does that make sense? Like, who cares if you run 3:55 for 1,500 or 3:50 in the mile, like if you're 20th, like you're 20th, that's how I look at it. Like, like back in the day, like in college, breaking 14 minutes was a big deal, because only like 3 or 4 people did it. Now, you know, 10 people are breaking 13:30. So like that's you're 10th. You're not like, I don't see you being any better. I just see you being 10th. So like I'm not trying to get too caught up in the times. And I think that's how New Balance is kind of looking at it too. Like, I mean, we have to keep up with everybody else, and the technologies. But like if you run really fast and you're 10th, you're not really doing much, if you ask me.
So this is the first coaching tour coach that I've talked to. Jonathan jokes that I refuse to talk to any coach that's younger than me. So I'm fine with people being more accomplished than me as long as they're older. So that's why I'm on this one. But one thing Weldon and Jonathan didn't really ever ask any of the other two coaches is, what would you say was the biggest disappointment of last year, or maybe since the team started? I mean, well, it's easy to pick out the highs and the lows, but coaching, there's easy to pick out the highs, but there's a lot of lows. Like, does anything jump out at you that like, wow, it's a shame she got hurt or this happened?
I mean, I think that's a good question. I mean, I think that I think it's really hard, like as a team, because like everybody puts their heart and soul into it. Like Katrina, my daughter, puts her heart and soul into it, and like Millie Palladino, everything into it. And when you go to these big races, like only 3 people make teams, and so there's always like this letdown, and it I feel like I feel worse. I feel like inside I feel more of like it hurts more like when someone doesn't make a final or doesn't make a team when they put everything into it than the joy I get out of someone making it. Like it really hurts like if someone has a bad race when they've put all their marbles into that one event or that one meet, not that one event, but like like we've had we've been kind of lucky like getting to championships fairly healthy, but like people always have these like little niggling things that go on that you don't have these great vibes when you go to like the Olympic trials, the US champs or something. And you just know that like they're questioning their fitness a little bit. And you just try to do everything to say like, just give it your best effort today and see what you can get out of this. And I like we always have these talks about like the world's not going to change. Like if Ellie didn't make the Olympic team, like the world's not going to, she's still going to have her husband, her mom and dad are still there. She's still going to have a dairy farm when she retires. Like like making the Olympic team's great, but it doesn't really change the world as much as people think it does. And if you don't make a team, the world doesn't really change that much either. But it's really hard when you go to a championship meet and you don't run as well as like you've been dreaming of for since like high school or something like that. So it's a little tricky.
And as a father, you've had 3 kids, all of them collegiate runners. I've got to, I don't want to have to pay for college. I'm sure there's a lot of parents listening to this podcast. How'd you do it? How'd you raise such good runners? Or is the trick to have both parents be Olympians?
Well, that might help, but I don't know. It's like I'm pretty proud of my kids. Like none of them. Well, I guess Katrina was on a full scholarship like after a couple years at Georgetown because she was doing so well. But this is Margaret's in her 5th year at George Washington. This is the first year that GW is paying for everything, and William's on like a half at North Carolina. But yeah, I don't know. I never coached them when they were little because I was pretty competitive, I think. So I don't think I would be like a very good like little league coach or something. I don't know if that would or I never coached them playing soccer, and being a college coach at the time almost meant I couldn't do it because I was always away at meets and things like that. But I think I think now, like if William keeps running, he runs well. I mean, I'd love to have him on this team in a few years for a couple of years and get to see him every day. I think I'm really lucky I get to see Katrina almost every day at practice. She might not think she's so lucky, but I feel pretty lucky that I get to see her every day because you don't see them much when they go to college. Like you see them a few times a year, right? And you know how it is. So it's yeah. And so I kind of like had the feeling with my kids. Like I try to make that the team like on New Balance Boston. Like I try to make it a family where like everybody actually does care about each other and look out for each other. And I think that's a huge reason why we're successful because they do care about each other and they do want the team to do when they do fight for each other and they do look out for each other. And that's what family is, right? You always look out for your siblings and things like
Oh, I forgot one random question. John's going to get mad at me, but
that.
I think that anyone that's ever steepled should try a steeple. I've tried to get Jenny Simpson to go back to the steeple for the last 7 or 8 years.
Oh, you could try to get him to convert Elle Purrier to a steeple. Please don't tell me that.
She used to steeple.
I know she did. She's the U.S. champion in the 1500. What are you talking about?
I want the hardware. I want the metal. The 1500 is loaded. We're pretty confident that Safan Hassan's not going to try the damn steeple.
No,
So
good point. I think Ellie's too small for the steeple. I think we already have a couple of good steeplers in the U.S. too. But if Ellie did decide to do it, she would definitely scare some people in the U.S. That's for sure.
Oh, I think she would. But you look at it objectively, her chances are better at medaling the 1500 than they are in the steeple. I mean, I think that's just a fact, Robert.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm with John on this one. With if Ellie can get down to like say 356 or something this summer or the spring, and at the World Champs, she's got a shot at a medal, especially with the unpredictability of the 1500, like we were talking about earlier. We've had a few Americans get medals lately, we've always had women close, from Morgan Usini to Jenny to whoever, so it's like, yeah, it's possible in the 15.
But at least, Mark, I'll have to slip you a $50 bill so you can just enter in or meet with no intention of running her, just so that the message board can blow up for a day.
We can do that. We've joked about it on the team, saying how people would get so nervous.
Oh, they definitely would. Like, especially, beyond Coburn and Frericks, maybe not, but every other American steepler definitely would not want to see her name on the start list. Well, we didn't even mention she just won her second Want to Make a Mile title over the weekend, and we'll see her in action again this weekend, the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix. Robert, do we have anything else from Art? Because we told him about half an hour, a little over that. So any parting questions from Art?
Well, what would Mark, at the end of the year, what makes a successful 2022 for New Balance Boston?
I mean, I think it's going to be hard to repeat last year, how well the team did, but I think that, get a couple people on the U.S. team maybe this summer. Schiffer makes Ireland's team in the 8 or 15. We get Sarah McDonald healthy, and she gets to run in the Worlds or Commonwealths. Get Julian Staley, down around 1440, 1445 in the 5K and makes the final at the World Champs. Something, just and staying healthy and happy and just and keeping the sport fun, right? Like I tell the team, like this is the days that are supposed to be your fun days, that you're not going to get these when you're my age, 50 or something, so enjoy it while you can. These are the good old days that you're so, yeah. So hopefully maybe a medal in the 15, that would be pretty good, Robert.
That would be cool. And then I'll personally apologize. I'll drive up to the farm and jump off a steeple barrier for him.
He won't. Jenny medaled 4 times in the 1500, and Robert was still trying to move her up. So he's gonna be beating that drum forever. But Mark, thank you so much for joining us. This is great.
Yeah, thanks for having me. All right, I'll catch up with you one of these days. I'll see you this weekend, actually.
Oh, I don't think are we sending anyone to that meet, Robert? We'll be covering it remotely.
No,
but
I think Weldon's going.
Oh, Weldon might be going to Staten Island. All right, yeah, definitely when it's in Boston next year, I'll be there in person.
Yep, it'll be really nice in Boston next year. I promise you that.
I'm looking forward to it already.